Very much. We'll just get right to questions. Where do I channel my sexual passions while single or dating?
You should start that one.
You want me to start that one? Okay. I would say a couple of things. Number one, we look at the Lord Jesus, and he was single and died a virgin, which is maybe one of his miracles, and rose from the dead and ascended into heaven, still having no sexual contact with anyone. And so that means a perfect life lived does not have to include marriage and sex. So for those of you who are single, I want you to hear that doesn't make you a second-class citizen. It doesn't restrict your ability to glorify God or to live a passionate, meaningful, purposeful life. And so sometimes when you're single, it just feels like you're in a holding pattern until life really begins. No, it doesn't. So, don't waste your singleness. Use it to the glory of God and the good of others. So looking at the Lord Jesus, you see he spent his time to study. He spent his time to teach. He spent his time to work. He spent time as a carpenter. He spent his time to pray. He spent time to serve others. He spent time fighting against injustice. He spent time investing in children. A lot of singles, especially men, don't do that. My encouragement and exhortation and admonition is always to the single guys. Work in the nursery. Work in the nursery. Go to one service and serve in the other in the nursery. There's a bunch of kids in there that don't have a dad. They'd love to wrestle with you. In addition, working in the nursery is a bunch of single young women who love children and aspire to be mothers. And while you're playing with children and they're playing with children, you might actually get to the point where the two of you make children after you're married. And as well, that allows you to get to know and love children so that even if you aspire to be a parent, it's a good way to open your heart. It's interesting how many kids were really interested and attracted to Jesus. Single guy. But it's because he loved and served children as well. So those kinds of things. I know this is going to sound really simplistic. I would say read the Gospels, look at the life of Jesus, and even as a single person, ask yourself, what did he give his time, talent, and treasure to? And those are good examples of things to do. I would say as well, guard your heart against sinful lust, so avoid pornography and inappropriate relationships with others of a sexual nature. And if you're really feeling led toward marriage and desirous of marriage, then it's preparing yourself and putting yourself in a position where, you can get married sooner than later. It's the reason that, I was saved at 19, but we got married at 21 because we had done it wrong. But once I met Jesus and I knew I wanted to be with Grace, I knew that for us, being married was our future, so I wanted to get to that as, at an early point. So that's what we did.
It's practicing self-control. Self-control is one of the fruits of the Spirit. And even in marriage, you have to practice self-control sexually at times because after a child or illness.
Yeah, okay, unpack that. That's real. I think single people think, when you get married, then you have sex every day, right? You laughed. Why are you laughing? So what does that mean? Because self-control has to be practiced within marriage as well.
Yeah, there's seasons, whether it's illness or someone was hurt or pregnancy, sometimes bed rest or after pregnancy, 4 to 6 weeks, depending on doctor's recommendations. There's always
work-related travel, military deployment.
Yep, exactly, all those things. So you need to be able to have that self-control in the marriage. So before marriage, practicing that is a great opportunity so that you don't become embittered really quickly in the marriage. But it's not a bad thing. It's not like you can just take this and say, I'm going to channel this sexual energy into this area. That is saved for marriage. And so it's not that energy that you're channeling into a different area of your life. It's that you're practicing self-control in that area. You're not turning off all your emotions, but you're just doing other things to serve the Lord until he brings someone into your life that is going to be your spouse.
Yeah, and our encouragement too would always be, don't kill your desire. A lot of singles will just say, I just killed my desire so I don't have temptation. Well, you're going to get married if if you hope to get married, and in the grace of God you do get married, you don't want your desires to be dead. So it's not about deadening your desires, but directing your desires toward godly things until you get married, and then toward your spouse. And the singles who have tried to just deaden their desires, it keeps them from sin while single, but it keeps them from joy while married. And I think sometimes, even when we're instructing teenagers in the church, for example, we just sort of tell them, kill your desires so you don't get in trouble, which might keep them away from certain trouble while single, but it will cause other trouble in marriage. And so the desires are good, and then finding, as Grace said, a way of being passionate in your life for Christ, and then saving a certain expression of that passion for marriage is really the way to go. Let's do another one. Can we marry?